Students, see the next lecture of research methods in organization behavior. I told earlier, preceding lecture, that once you study the entire syllabus very seriously, so you may have some kind of query when you see the real world. So that particular cases, it is very important, you need to explore whatever you have studied, is it really exist or not. That originate the research. Researching the knowledge again. In this continuation, I am producing you before the second lecture, that is research approach in OB studies, organizational behavioral studies. And I think this approach you can apply not only OB, any kind of behavioral science research. Of course, in HR also you can apply this particular approach. Approach is nothing, students. This is the way of doing research. Approach is the underlying philosophy of doing research. So once, if you are not clear, say for example, what way research to be started, because there is no particular things, particular science, whereas you just follow this particular science, follow particular process, then you will attain the results. Not like that. Research is purely individualistic. That means what way you can think, what way you can perceive, what way you can functioning, what way you can select the tools of research, what way you just identify which type of research to be done. There is no particular methods, no particular methodology. Don't confuse students. I think if you see the early time researcher, they did not study any kind of methodology, even though they are the good researcher. But OB is concerned, since we are studying the human behavior, that particular cases, I need to clarify exactly what methodology we need, what approach we need. Approach is nothing, as I told, that what exactly techniques, what exactly thoughts you are applying in your research. So in this particular cases, we have the good number of agenda which you can clarify what is research approach, definition of research approach, types of research approach, deductive research approach, example of deductive research approach, process of deductive approach, inductive research approach, examples of inductive research approach, process of inductive research approach, abductive research approach, example of abductive research approach, process of abductive research approach. That means the three different types of approach we will discuss: inductive, deductive and the abductive. One by one I can clarify you. It is not the methodology, basically the approach, elementary part, and you have identified the problem, you have select the problem, you have formed the problem. Now approach is very important part. What is research approach? A research approach is the overall plan or strategy that a researcher used to conduct a study, basically the OB studies. It guides how data will be collected, analyzed and interpreted. It reflects the researcher underlying belief about how knowledge is generated. As I told, that is the researcher belief system. It is purely personalized. What approach you can follow, what approach you can use basically for this particular research. There are three different types of approach: deductive approach, inductive approach and the abductive approach. I will discuss each and every part one by one. First one, you see the research approach. A research approach gives a clear overview of the action and procedures the researcher intends to perform in the collecting and analyzing data, increasing our knowledge of an issue. Creswell 2014 defines research approach as plans and the procedures for research that span the steps from broad assumptions to detailed methods of data collection, analysis and interpretation. Norman 2014 notes that research approach involves decisions about how to design the study, select methods, analyze the data in a way that fits the goals and philosophical foundation of the research. Sundar et al. 2019 I explained the research approach as general plan how the researcher will go about the answering the research questions, and it is shaped by the research philosophy and the nature of knowledge being pursued. So, what exactly research approach basically? It's overall your personalized features, your approach, your thoughts, what way research to be conducted, what tools you can use, it is purely personalized. So, these holistic things come under the research approach. Now, see, one by one I can discuss the research approach. One is the deductive approach. Deductive approach begins with the theory or hypothesis and use data to test it. A deductive approach involves the development of a theory that is subjected to a rigorous test. Saunders et al. 2019, Nature top-down quantitative research, key features, starts with a hypothesis, collect data to confirm or refute it, move from general to specific. Here is very important part, students. Before starting any kind of research, trace what kind of approach you are supposed to follow. Here, first point is the deductive research. Your starting point is very sound. In deductive research, theory is there, and it is basically the replication research. This approach normally used in the replication research. That means theory is there. It is, say for example, 20 years back theory originated by some particular person, and presently this theory functioning or not. You want to test this thing. Yes, some people already been search certain issues in different culture setting. You want to test the same in particular cultural setting. So, you need to see exactly that particular output can vary in different cultures or not. This is the important things you need to see basically. It starts from hypothesis, but established theory is there. No need of modification of theory, that this theory is just explained properly, and clear cut define hypothesis, identify some of research objectives, clarify some kind of methodological part and other things, draw the results, test your hypothesis. All these things come under deductive research. The specific goal of research, deductive research is the replication. That means the results which was earlier it was given by this theory earlier, whether the same theory are you getting rightly or not. This is the main things come under the deductive research. Now, second, this is the example of deductive research theory, high work stress, reduced job satisfaction. Say for example, this is the theory. What is the hypothesis? Employees who experience high level of stress will report lower job satisfaction. Data collection, collect data through questionnaires measuring stress level and job satisfaction, analyze the relationship to confirm and reject the hypothesis. This is some of example of deductive research. Process of deductive research, theory development, start with an existing theory, formulation of hypothesis, research design, data collection, data analysis, hypothesis testing, revision of theory. Normally, we can accept or reject hypothesis, but that particular theory we are not using, this particular approach we are not using basically modification of theory. So, modification of theory is somewhat different. I think that means you just see that results which was given earlier, the same results continues or not, and that is the chronological phase you can use basically for this kind of research. Now, see inductive research approach, which is much important. Inductive research approach definition begins with data collection and then builds theories or patterns, and inductive research approach involves the development of theory as a result of the observation of empirical data. That is the definitions given by Sundar et al. And nature is the bottom up and associated with qualitative research. Normally key features, no prior hypothesis. Since it is the inductive, that means you are defining, originating theory, you are developing, identifying some new theory, creating some kind of theory, crafting some kind of new theory, moves from specific observation to general patterns. Now, see what is it exactly? To clarify to all of you the inductive research. That means you want to build some theory, you want to create something new. So, that is inductive research. That means, it is not originated from any hypothesis. Blindly you just start something. Research is something like that, think in different way. You can perceive all these things once you study the entire syllabus, because that covers the entire part of organization behavior. Few things may left over, but it is well connected. If some unit, some particular context I have not discussed, and of course, that can be linked with the existing body of knowledge. Now see, inductive research, you need to build a theory. It's very complicated task, I am telling you. You just think in vacuum. That means, why not this thing? Why this thing is happening? There is no particular theory. There is no particular base. You just start any kind of thing without any base. Start the observation, and you can frame hypothesis under your assumption, under your philosophical thought, and try to gather data, test your hypothesis. Definitely that you can build something. Now, observation, normally we are following basically observation. Nurses in hospital setting often appear emotional, exhausted, and express discontent. That is the observation. Say for example, data collections use focus group discussion, observation in hospital to gather detailed insights on nurse, daily stressors and emotions, analysis, categorize common themes such as emotional exhaustion, lack of support. This example, theory development, develop a theory that high emotional level among nurse leads to increased stress and lower job satisfaction. You can build theory, these kind of things, So, in the case of inductive research, not necessary that you may have sufficient literature or sufficient base, but you can perceive something which has not been studied earlier. That may be something new, that may be some of new development, new new field of study. Now, process of inductive research, I think observation, through observation you can gather the data, that may be participatory, non-participatory. You can identify some of contextual data, which is often qualitative. No predefined hypothesis is required. Pattern recognitions, you can follow, identify trends, similarities, recurring themes in the data, look for meanings, relationals or categories, development of themes or categories, organize patterns into broader concept or categories. These form the building blocks for emerging theory. Theory building, develop a conceptual framework or theory based on identified pattern. This theory explains the observed phenomena. Final interpretation and conclusions, interpret findings in light of existing literature, optional. If it is if you have the literature, then you can analyze it with example of some literature, provide insight, explanation and new hypothesis. This is very important part of why you can continue the inductive research. Is very important in the sense you can think whatever you like, but you must be very rational, and your research can develop some kind of new hypothesis, and other researchers, they can prove that particular hypothesis, and you can also develop some of new hypothesis. So, it is purely some kind of research basically which normally apply for doing some kind of creativity or some kind of path breaking insight. Now see what is very important, abductive research approach. This is the new type of approach basically. What is it basically? That is the mix of inductive and deductive research. What is it exactly? Moves back and forth between data and theory to find out the most plausible explanation. Matlab that means scientific explanation. What is it exactly? Move back and forth between data and theory to find the most plausible explanation. Plausible explanation is nothing, that is some of rational explanation. So, you just club both the things, inductive and deductive research, and you just use the theory, and also you can frame some kind of hypothesis, mixed method you can say. Abduction starts with an incomplete set of observation and proceeds to the likeliest possible explanation. Crosswell, Plano and Clark 2018. Nature is the literative and associated with mixed methods or exploratory research, and key focus seeks best explanations, combines both inductive and deductive reasoning. Flexible and flexibility is there, these very important things. What is flexibility and the iterative? What is it basically, Flexibility in the sense, you have used the theory and you have framed the hypothesis and you have seen the environment. I think things are not clear exactly what you want to do, and so many explanations are not there. This is very important, incomplete set of observation. You are not clear basically what will happen basically, That is very, direction is there, but there is not perfect directions, you can say, in this particular abductive research approach. Now, what is the relevance of this kind of research approach in what I said, that this kind of study, OB studies? OB study, as I told earlier, some of issues basically which is very dynamic, which never been expressed by people. Oftenly people talk, but never people experiment. This is very important part. Oftenly we talk about the climate. Some organizations climate is good, and if we ask somebody what is climate exactly, which climate is good, oftenly they will confuse culture versus climate. So, whereas it is very important, but being a researcher, why this climate is good, and what way we can frame the climate more and more, better way. So, you may not have the proper tools to define all kind of things. So, abductive research is something like that. There may not have the proper conclusion. We may not have the proper methodology. We may not have the proper techniques of explanation, techniques of data collection methods. But when you do the mixed method approach, definitely you can have certain explanation, certain knowledge at certain point of time. Now, this is very important. Theories that leadership style influence employee motivation and performance. Hypothesis: employees who perceive their leader as transformational will report higher motivation and job satisfaction. This is a hypothesis. I am not saying the null and already, basically, research hypothesis. That may be the statement in different forms. Data collections, you can collect the data, different methods, style, motivation along with performance metrics. Analyze the relationship between leadership styles and employee motivation to determine if transformational leadership predicts higher levels of both. I think this is the example of abductive research approach. It is the approach basically, That means this particular setting of mindset, setting of procedure you can use in your research. You can approach this kind of thought process in your research. Now, see process of abductive research, observation of surprising factor anomaly. Researchers notice something unexpected in the real world that existing theories can't fully explain. This very important part, students. Something has happened in the situation that can't be expressed by theories, existing theories. Developing a preliminary explanation. They brainstorming possible reasons or explanation for the surprising observation, interactive movement between theory and data. Researchers go back and forth, check existing theories, collect from more data, adjust the explanation based on what they find, formulating the most plausible theory, plausible recognized theory. This every people can accept this, build a new theory or refine an existing one that best fit for the observed reality. Testing and refining. Further data collection analysis are done to strengthen or fine tune the emerging explanation. This is very important part. Some situations are there which can't be, which is not supporting by theory, but we need some solution. That particular cases you can adopt this particular type of research approach. We have started the research, but real research not yet started. It is a beginning part of research basically. Now, see some of questions, students, which is much useful for your purpose. Define the deductive research approach, explain its key features. What is an example? With an example, describe the process involved in the inductive research approach. What is the abductive research approach? How does it differ from the deductive and inductive approach? describe the process of the abductive research approach with a suitable solution. I think you must be remember this particular part. You may be the researcher, you are now student, you future may be the researcher. Some of research scholar perhaps they are listening this particular, studying this particular paper. They can identify the good research topic out of that if you go through the entire syllabus. Those who are in undergraduate, you know, under NEP programs, as I told last lecture also, after 4 years or your NEP courses, then you can pursue the research directly without PG courses. Then definitely there is wide scope of research in the field of organization behavior. My intention is that organizational behavior research methodology somewhat different from the business research methodology. And business research methodology maximum they have the specific center point is the profitability, improving organizational productivity, and they just use the productivity and the organizational performance at the center point without understanding the other issues, some side factors which is much dominant for improving efficiency or productivity of organizations. So, once you understand the organization behavior, there is the behavioral context of employees as far as organization behavior is concerned, definitely that will help what way you can perform the good research, you know, what way you can modify the existing theory and you can adopt some of new theory in the existing body of knowledge. So, research approach what I defined today is very important in the sense that what path, what directions you are following, what things in your mindset, thought process, what you are following basically, either deductive, inductive or abductive. Choice is yours. If it is phenomena is entirely new, it is not connected with theory, so you can follow the abductive research approach. Suppose your phenomena is very common and it is aligned with theory, you can follow the deductive research approach. Sometimes you need to build some theory, that cases you can follow the what I said that the inductive approach. So, try to understand what is deductive, inductive and abductive. So many questions are there, but you just go through the different books as I prescribed basically, you know, good number of books are there basically, like as Creswell 2014, Creswell 2018, Grover 2015, Norman 2014, Saunders and Throil 2019 research method. Apart from that, you can see so many journal articles also which can help you basically for understanding of this particular topic. So, it's my very request to everybody, you know, go through the entire slide, entire lecture very seriously, so that you will have complete idea. So, research approach is very common practice of any kind of research methodology, practically in the case of organizational behavior research. So, it is very well defined methodologies are there in the field of organizational behavior, but as I told that phenomena is somewhat different, subject may be different, contextual issues may be different. So, that cases if you are not much dynamic basically understanding the specific centric approach, you may not generate some of theory or you can't you know, modify the existing body of theory. Thank you very much for listening this particular lecture, research approach in OB studies. Thank you very much.